Hello and welcome back to New Art Gallery podcast. My name is Richard. For our new listeners, New Art Gallery is a fast-growing online art gallery with a unique approach to bringing artists and art lovers together. Today, we're going to be chatting to one of New Art Gallery's newest members. Our aim is to hopefully give you an insight into her work, what inspires her, and what drives her to become a creative. So do look out for and subscribe to future editions of New Art Gallery podcast. We're on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and of course at newartgallery.co.uk. We'd love you to join us on this exciting journey. Today's guest is a graduate in classics with a fascination for the beauty of people and the natural world, something which she combines in her work exceptionally. As a child, she was inspired at primary school, often creating self-portraits, though she admits she didn't always get the proportioning quite right. She's been a creative for many years, dabbling in various artistic mediums, from sewing to glass cutting. She's explored it all. However, the medium that truly allows her to express herself with the utmost enthusiasm is acrylic painting. What captivates her the most is the incredible vibrancy of colours that can be achieved with acrylics, making her paintings come alive. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's guest, Isobel Lomax. Isobel, welcome to New Art Gallery podcast. It's absolutely fantastic to meet you and have you on the podcast. How are you?
I'm fine, yes. And yourself?
Yeah, all right. Not too bad. Not too bad. A long week at work, and these nights are drawing in. It's getting darker and darker,
Yeah, and
isn't
colder
it?
and colder.
Yeah, and colder and colder. Absolutely, it really is. So, look, this is really about you, and we're really happy to have you on the podcast. So, tell us about yourself. What's your background?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, I'm just a 22-year-old who's been enjoying painting for many years. I've recently graduated from uni just this year, and I'm currently working in the court system because it's at the moment it's a job. You know, not much to say about that aspect. But yeah, like I said.
Excellent. Yeah. Lucky to have a job in these times, I suppose. That's the main thing, isn't it? So you're a recent university graduate in classics, I believe. So that's quite interesting. Tell us about that. Tell us about classics.
Yeah, well, I think for that, it's because, I mean, probably a lot of people my age have grown up watching horrible histories,
Yeah.
and which really draws you into the historical aspects of life. And just classics in itself was because of Latin. I did Latin at school, and it was just like it's like an otherworldly kind of study, and yet it happened on this world. And yeah, I've always enjoyed classics. Mythology as well is like weird, crazy stories that you got to remember that someone once believed, which it's a bit crazy, some of them. But no, yeah, I've always enjoyed classics along with my art.
Excellent. Yeah. I did Latin for a year at school. And it was one of my regrets not taking it on further, because I think it can help you with so many other things and so many other languages, right?
Yeah, and it's also a lot easier because you don't need to speak it or listen to it. You just got to translate it.
Yeah. The only thing I remember is Caecilius est in hortum, which I think is Caecilius is in the garden.
Yes. I think I know that story. Yeah, he tries to steal Virginia, something like Virginia or something, and his father kills her to protect her, which was just kind of the logic of the day.
Yeah. It was one of those workbooks, and or I think you can still get them, all the stories of Caecilius. So yeah, excellent. So you've been a creative for many years, and you mentioned there you've always enjoyed classics along with your art. Why did you choose classics over art? I mean, did you consider going to university to do art?
Well, I think once I hit sixth form, he kind of got pushed to the ideal of doing academics more than doing more creative subjects, and um, so I kind of carried on with the academic side of things. But also, I think part of me felt like if I carried on studying art in such a way, I'd stop. I'd have to be thinking more about what I was painting. You know, is this structured properly? Is that being done well? And I just enjoy painting for the enjoyment of painting. I don't like to think too hard on it. So I think that's why I stopped pursuing art in an academic sense.
Mhm.
And also I can just write pages and pages on like ancient world, so that's also helpful. um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's quite interesting, and we'll come on to that in a moment in a little bit more detail. But just again, I'm trying to get a bit of an understanding of your background. I understand you do some
Mm.
volunteer work as well.
Yeah, I've done a lot of volunteering through a local charity called Create Bolton, who actually just this week, I believe, won a King's Awards for volunteering. So it's really a great charity. But for a few years, I did some volunteering with a band that has come from there called Boltones, and it's mainly for people with disabilities. And I was there to help. Although I've never been able to read music nor play any instrument, I was there to help. And in turn, I learned to play the trumpet. So,
Wow, so you actually ended up learning an instrument because you were helping
well,
out.
I learned it for a brief time. At most, my skills really extend to playing the song Tequila on the trumpet, but
Okay.
that's about it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I know Create Bolton. They do a lot of work with New Art Gallery.
Mm.
So yeah, that's fantastic. Well, good on you. Everybody should do a bit of volunteer work.
Yeah, yeah.
So just going back to your, I suppose this kind of comes into your other point about how you mentioned that you didn't want to do art in an academic way because it would perhaps might stop you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it might
Mm.
inhibit your creativity in some way. I think as well, many artworks, or rather many art critics, tend to proclaim that art has a significant and deeper meaning, and there might be hidden narratives in it left by the artists and things like that. What are your thoughts around that kind of thing?
I think that is very true for many artworks, but I feel as though it kind of gets pushed on to just everyday people who want to be creative. An idea that if you do want to draw something or have a go at something, you need to plan it out and have a meaning and all this. Whereas, I mean, for me myself, most of my paintings, although some do have meaning behind them, most of them is just because I enjoy painting. I enjoy the process of going from a blank canvas and then at the end being able to see what I was able to do with it, even though it may not always go to plan from the offset. Just being able to just paint and have fun with it is something I think is very important because I often hear people having goes at things. Just I'm not that creative. I'm not an artist. And to be honest, if you just have a go, put pencil to paper, or even if it's just a doodle, you're creating, and I think that's wonderful. It's the enjoyment of it more than anything. And paintings of deeper meaning are also very important. Some deeper meanings can be a statement on life or a political statement or just a view of the world for them, and they can give a richer tone to that painting. But I feel like I'm repeating myself. I feel as though we sometimes we can just step back and just be honest and say, no, I just like I said, I just enjoy painting. What motivates me is perhaps my previous paintings and looking at them and going, oh, I painted that, I want to paint another and paint another, and then spend a lot of money at Hobbycraft buying art supplies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well from the viewer's point of view, uh, people just like something nice to look at,
Mm.
you know, that's
Mm.
visually pleasing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there doesn't have to be I agree with you. I think some paintings great, they've got deeper meanings and you can think about it that, but a lot of the time it's just aesthetically pleasing,
Mm.
I think. Do you think there's a pressure there for I'm just thinking about, you know, up and coming artists, a lot of the artists that we have on New Art Gallery as well? Do you think there's a pressure to, you know, that maybe inhibits their creativity around having that meaning, or, you know?
I feel like yeah, there is because like you know, for myself, I mean, I'm 22. I've you know went to school not far from my house and a secondary school not far from my house, which you know they're lovely schools and everything, and you know haven't travelled far, haven't had some you know greater worldwide experience. So you know, all I can say is you know, when it comes to, you know, what inspires you in the greater world, it's like, well, I'm from Bolton.
Yeah.
It's a good town. You know, I mean, I have been inspired by many people in my life. You know, people who've encouraged me to paint and everything. But I think for my paintings themselves, I just yeah, I just like it, and I feel like you know for so many, if they want to start, and if it's like if you want to become a great artist, you need to have great meaning, and you know, or you could just pursue it. You know, try and find yourself as you paint, find a deeper meaning as you go along. But as you start, you can just start because you enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I hear you and I agree with you. It's nice to hear that. And I can see why you chose to perhaps, you know, leave the academic side of it and pursue it as a personal kind of,
Mm.
I don't want to say hobby, because it's more, it feels like it's more than that to you, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's a nice little like getaway. I can just sit for hours and just paint and just relax and have fun with it. And you know, I am trying to now pursue it a bit more in terms of perhaps getting a bit from it as well. You know, try and sell prints and whatnot. But it still remains just as a fun little hobby on the side, I
Yeah.
guess.
Great, great. So how would you describe your, and we're going to look at a few of your paintings in a moment, but how would you describe your present style? I understand it's varied over time, or you've
Mm.
tried different mediums and things like that.
Yeah, well, I've you know, it started off as probably most with like watercolors and pencils because that's what you get given at school, and I've built now to do mainly acrylic, which I feel like not many people do acrylic portraits or many acrylic paintings because oil is the go-to. But I like acrylic because they're very vibrant, so you get a lot of strong color, but they dry very quickly. And for me, who might get a few hours in the week now to do a bit of painting, I don't have anywhere to store the painting to dry for months. So that's also another. Also, I've got a cat who likes to walk on things, so it also helps to keep my carpet not getting cat paws all over it. But I mean, I guess if I were to say, I've some words my parents would use is like striking. Uh, like I say, very bold colours. I like to do my portraits in the way where they are realistic to a point, so they're not hyper realistic. They're not like it's the photo. It's like you can tell it's been painted. So they're very much bold in that sense that you know you can tell where the shadows are because they are very much you know it's like three tones. You got your light skin tone, your dark skin tone, your medium as well. So yeah, and then the flowers in the background are very in themselves very simplistic in the way that they are usually just one tone of color, usually black or white, depending on the background, in order to stand out in a way.
Yeah, vibrant is a word I definitely use to describe your work. It's very, the colors are really bold and very strong. So yeah, I'd agree with that. And who would you list as your main influencers? And that doesn't have to be necessarily artists, or it could be somebody or something that's perhaps influenced you. I don't know.
Um, well, like I said, my family have been very strong influences, mainly because they have encouraged me. My nan has always encouraged me. Every time I went over to my nan's house, she'd have like a tin of crayons ready for me to use when I was a kid, and give me an art pad and off you go, and help me when I was starting into like I got into sewing for a bit when I was like 10 or 12. She's always been there to encourage me. My dad as well. I remember a time when I was I think it was year 1 or year 2, we had to design a poster for a zoo. And my dad, who's a lawyer by trade, he's like, here, let me just draw some animals, and they were cartoon animals. And I was so shocked. So that was definitely like a moment of, oh wow, this is really cool. And so he's always cheering me on, and my mum's always cheering me on, even though she herself, and she has greenlit me to say that she herself has said that she's not very creative, although again, it's one of them, just like have a stab at it, but she cheers me on. And my brother, who you'll be happy to say he told me so at the end of this, he's always tried to encourage me to expand, get an Instagram, go on to a website such as yourselves to try and sell some of my artwork. And then other people outside my family, friends, have always been like, oh, that's so wonderful and lovely and everything. But one person in particular is Joy Kilpatrick. She runs Create Bolton, and she's so lovely. She's always been at telling me to try new things, trying to get me to, and she encouraged me even to do an art exhibition in Create Bolton from September to October of this year. So it's been and gone now. But she's always been she's been trying to get me into that for years now. She finally caught me. Finally had a bit of time out of uni to get that sorted. And then there's there are other artists. There's 2 that come to mind that I found through social media myself. One is Polina Bright, who does watercolor. Mainly, she herself does portraits with kind of like floral blindfolds around them, and the flowers are so detailed. It's something that I aspire to try and do. And another one is Tahlia Stanton, who does more abstract portrait work with vibrant colours herself, and she brings in nature as well. So these 2 artists, obviously, if you see my work, you can see how I find a familiarity with them. I probably butchered that with them with my own work.
No, absolutely. I've written both of them down. So that was Polina Bright and Tahlia Stanton. Did you say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely check them out. So yeah, I'll have a look at their Instagram pages.
Mm.
So really good to understand a bit about your influences now. And I ask everybody this: do you have any kind of process? Do you have a mindset you need to be in, or how does that work for you as an artist?
Well, for me, I'd say my process is probably a lot looser than most. Usually just, I go to, store, go get me a canvas that I kind of feel like, oh, I want to paint that one. Now I'm leaning towards much larger canvases. I feel like I can get much more bolder ideas onto them. And then when I get home, I have trolleys. I have trolleys for my art supplies. They're 3-tiered. They're great. And I just pick one of my acrylic colors from them, and I just put that down as like the background base color. And it can be, a lighter color, like a light blue or something, or a much more like vibrant pink or a dark purple. And I just put that on. And then I basically scour the internet for hours to find a reference image that I feel matches the kind of like vibe or tone of the color that I've put down. So if it's like a dark color, I usually try and find a bit more of a moodier, I guess, kind of image. Or if it's a lighter color, something maybe a bit more happier, a bit more someone who's got a bit more of a positive look on, what I mean, like a smile look on their face. And then I just kind of go for it. I try and keep close to the reference image, whilst at the same time, adding my own twist to it. Maybe making the shadows a bit more sharper, or the colours just a bit more bolder, a bit more deeper as well. And then when it comes to the flowers, I've got like a whole photo folder on my phone of flowers. And again, with that, I just kind of go, which flowers do I want to put on here? You know, I try and I don't know a lot about flowers, but you know, looking at them and looking at the structure of them and going, well, do I think this one suits this one here? Even going the own garden, because my mum's a very avid gardener. And I just look at her flowers and I go, right, which of these flowers do I even want to put on here as well? And yeah, I just kind of go with the flow with it for the most part. You know, I don't often go in with like a whole like structure of where I want the painting to go. I think I've kind of got it down to a formula of that. That's what I want to do, which also means that I'm also trying to figure out ways that I can change it up a bit. You know, only in the last few years I've started adding gold leaf to my paintings rather than just putting a bit of gold acrylic on. So yeah, always changing.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, you know, do you have live models, or how do you get, you know, your portraits? But so it's just a case of literally going finding something that you know looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had live models. Nothing like that. I think closest I could probably get would be like my cat or something. Although if he ever sits still long enough for a painting.
Maybe when they're asleep.
Yeah.
Sleeping cat.
don't get much of his face then. But no, yeah, like I said, it's mostly from the internet. You know, mainly I think a well-known site for this kind of thing is Pinterest.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mainly just, you know, scour through, you know, reference images for art, like photography style reference, you know, all the Google searches to try and find something to fit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's a really good insight. So we're going to talk about your work, and I'm going to get this up on the screen. I will. So how about this one? What?
Yes, that's my So this would be an example of a painting which does have meaning behind it for me. So I notice with all my paintings that all the skins are basically, the skin of the face, I should say, is basically, you know, it's perfect. You know, there's no blemish, no wrinkle, no nothing. And the reality is that's not our faces. Our faces have blemishes. We all have some form of wrinkle, something not quite right with it. So that made me think about, you know, how can I put that out there? And then I remember there's a skin condition called vitiligo, which is where skin basically loses pigmentation, and it can look beautiful. It does look beautiful, I should say. And so that's what inspired me to do this painting. I do believe that the original reference image of this lady did not have vitiligo herself. So I had to do further research and trying to find images of vitiligo to try and recreate as much as I can, you know, do to, you know, a realistic extent to portray vitiligo. And I hope I've done a good job. I really do. But I really hope that this, you know, it allows people to see, you know, just how beautiful anyone's skin can be.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. It does have meaning behind it. So absolutely, your work does have meaning. So that's fantastic, and it is a beautiful painting. And it looks really good outside.
Yes.
Like, you know.
Yes, when we do manage to have some sunlight up here in the north, I do try and get the paintings out as fast as possible to get photos.
Get a photograph. Yeah. Okay, so this one.
Yes. This is the largest painting I've ever done. It's 100 centimeters by 120 centimeters.
Okay.
So it's pretty big. Takes up a lot of paint. And this is actually a repaint. So the first version I did was back in 2019, and it wasn't my best work. When I started repainting it, my mum was like, "Oh no, don't repaint it. I like it." And then I eventually came to this. Showed her this, and she's like, "Oh, it's lovely. I'm putting it up on the wall. You can't sell it," and I haven't been able to sell it, and I wouldn't. But this is also the first time I used gold leaf on a painting as well. So all that like yellowy bits, that is gold leaf. And I found out very quickly as well that when you're rubbing the leaf onto the canvas, if you're not careful with the pressure, you will also rub away a bit of your skin, because obviously it's a textured surface. So I came out with like a slight burn on my knuckle from
Oh my
rubbing the
goodness.
gold leaf down. But yeah, but I was very proud when I finished this one, because it is so big and it is so and I think I've done a really good job on it. But obviously, like I think many artists will find, the longer you stare at one of your paintings, the more you go, oh, that little corner of shading, just there, could
Yeah.
do a bit more, bit more, you know. But yeah, no, this is just one that I myself is just proud of overall.
As you should be. And big wall art is more and more getting more and more popular. There's a big demand for big wall art. So
Well, I'll
maybe
have to talk to my mum about that one.
I was going to say maybe reconsider, or see if you can persuade her to part with it. But there you go. Okay, and this one.
Yeah. So this is my attempt at more of an abstract painting, and something I'd like to try again. So this itself, if anyone does look at Tahlia Stanton, is very you can see where the influence of Tahlia Stanton has come in, because she does this kind of like half like kind of portrait, and then moves into like a splat, but it's like a very colourful textured background and all this with like pockets of nature. Some, you know, she does like flowers and wings and all this. But this is my take on it, which is much more cascading down the face with the flowers, a way to blend nature and people. As I do sometimes feel, we do forget that we ourselves are a part of nature. So this is a good way to show as well that we are, you know, we are ourselves, you know, we are animals, we are a part of this world as much as anything else. But yeah, this is another one that actually did sell at my exhibition, which I was very proud of. And I do hope to make more kind of in a similar way moving forward.
Fantastic. Really like it. And then finally, we've got this one here.
Yes, this is a way for me to just try out something a bit different. As you can tell, the hair's not fully done, but that's because I liked the background colours of it. Getting two colours and trying to blend them together to make a nice background was something I hadn't really tried before, and I really liked how it ended up on this. And when I got to the end of the painting, just before I was about to do the hair and fill it in, I was like, you know what, I kind of like it as it is, and I kind of want to leave it as it is. So I did. You know, it's a beauty of being an artist. I can do that. And and so yeah, I did end up leaving it like this, and I was happy with it in the end. And this is something else that I might try to incorporate in future paintings. And yeah, not much else to say about that. I just like
Well, it looks absolutely intentional. If you hadn't have said, I wouldn't have even considered that it was, that you'd sort of, you used the word unfinished, but it doesn't look unfinished at all. It looks quite intentional. So fantastic piece.
Thank you.
So excellent. Well, thank you very much for talking about those pieces with us. It's really good to get an insight into your work, and obviously we want to promote your work as much as possible, of course. So got a few quick fire questions, and then we'll finish with a final one. So very quickly, what role does the artist have in society?
I think that there can be many roles for an artist, you know, enjoyment being one. You know, people just enjoy looking at nice things. And then you also, like I said earlier, you know, you can have people making statements through their art, you know, particularly, you know, today with our turmoils of the day, you know, people can make all kinds of statements through art. And I think an artist's placement in society is whatever they want to be placed into society as. You know, you like me, you can just do it for fun and hope other people enjoy it, or try and make meaning from it, make make statements, make ideas from it.
Okay, excellent, love it. So who do you think the best portrait artist is that's ever lived? And they can be living.
Ooh, that's tricky because there's so many styles. How can you bring it down to just one? Because you got like your classic, Leonardo da Vinci or Van Gogh or all this, and these well-known historical artists. And yet, you've got more modern day ones, like the ones I've mentioned, who are more for today's society. So I guess I couldn't really pinpoint just one. It would just have to, everyone has a place in time, and it's a matter of what people like.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. It's a tough question, that, so purposefully. And finally, what would you say to an aspiring artist, perhaps somebody like yourself, or maybe somebody who's just started university around that age, who wants to take their art to the next level? What would you suggest to them?
I would suggest a very simple phrase of have a stab at it. Have a go. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. It's tricky. You might end up putting a lot of money into it before you receive money out of it, which is very difficult, particularly if you're my age. But at the end of the day, if you have a go and you can go far, it's great. And I hope I can go far with mine, or at least go a little bit with mine, and have and try to have fun and remind yourself why you wanted to do it in the first place.
Excellent. Really good advice. Thank you for that. Finally, how do you feel New Art Gallery has helped more people appreciate your work?
I feel it's opened it up to more people. Like, I've got my Instagram, but this is probably a group of people who may never have met me through my Instagram. Instagram's so vast and wide, and you have so many accounts on there. And New Art Gallery, not that it's small, but it's much more contained, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not got so many artists all competing for the same stage. And it has allowed for a lot of options when it comes to my paintings. It's not just a poster. It can be an art print or a card or a postcard, so it allows for a lot of options as well.
Excellent. Isobel, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for talking about your work, and best of luck in the future, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me on.
Anytime. Bye-bye now.
Bye, thank you.
If you enjoyed today's podcast and would like to buy Isobel's work, head over to newartgallery.co.uk and visit her gallery now. Thanks for listening.